Hey guys, it's Kugsley, and welcome back to another video. Recently I got a comment on one of my newest videos saying, asking me to go over the blinking mechanic for the D-class character, right? And I've already done that though, but it helped me realize a major problem that I have with a lot of my videos that I didn't really notice until now. And so I'm gonna try fixing that. So with a lot of my videos, I'll go over something, right, and I'll explain all the features and all of how that works. But the problem is, say you're looking for a specific function that I do, but it's buried under all this other stuff because it's all part of one big thing, right? You're not gonna go through a 30-minute video trying to find one specific thing. So what I'm gonna start doing, right, is I'm gonna make like an archive. So I'm gonna start making like short videos at most, hopefully 10 minutes long, at the most, explaining very specific features of my SCP game, or other stuff for that matter, logic-based, art-based, everything like that. And that way, say you want to learn how the blinking mechanic works, now you can go over to that video and you can watch it without having to sift through hours and hours of footage trying to find the right video with the right thing. So that way it's a lot more organized and you guys can find what you want to find a lot easier. So I'm actually going to upload this video and I'm going to make a playlist called, it's going to be a bunch of different ones. It's like SCP tutorial and then D-class character, or SCP tutorial art design, right? So with that, we're going to do the blinking, and this way, although I've already covered it, it's going to be titled blinking, so you know exactly what it is, and it's not going to be so convoluted with everything else. So with that, let's begin. And I'm going to go into a lot more depth with the blinking too, because now that I'm doing just blinking, I can go way more into it. So with that, we're going to begin. So what we have here is a D-class character. So here's the puppet. It's invisible right now, but if I do that, you can see it. It's just a regular puppet. And on here you have the main microchip, and then you have controller logic, where all the stuff is held. So all the stuff pertaining to pressing buttons and getting results. Except for menu, that's a special case. So now down here we have blink mechanic, but before we do that, we need to address just this one here, hold circle. So basically what hold circle is typically with all these other buttons, with square, with the left button, specifically the left button. I'm trying to think about what that one does, because it's actually here, it's left D. That means it must be a right D. So there it is, right D. Alright, so, that's weird, I kicked something. So with all these buttons here, with all the D-pads and the buttons, with all of the actions here, you have timers. And basically what this does is it kind of artificially sends a pulse. That way you press square. Let's do this. So if I do that, right, I'm holding down square, but it only sensed it once. So now if I do that, I go back in here without saving, and someone is, my friend, I think my friend's like going on to my game. That's gonna probably stop him from doing that. So now you see that square isn't activated though. That's because what really happens is, if I get a counter here, I can kind of show you. So let's turn on that counter and connect it to this timer. So notice it'll let's try something a little different then. Let's try that, because I want to make it to where it, there we go. So you saw how it kind of like flashed there? Well, that's what it does. It sends a pulse. And that's important because this right here is one of, if not the only button that doesn't have that. And the reason is, when you're blinking, right, you want to have the option to close your eyes and keep them closed. And there's a few ways of doing it, but this is the most efficient way. So now we're on to the blinking mechanic. And what we have here is the external part of it. So this is kind of just sensing what the player is doing, and you have this node here which just kind of combines this so it's not making that microchip any larger than it needs to be. Because with each wire that goes into a microchip, if it's separate, it'll add on to it and make it longer and longer. I don't have, actually right here's an example. So you see all these things going out of it, all those make it longer, and the longer it is, the messier it is, the harder it is to read. Now if it's small like that, doesn't necessarily mean it's easy to read, you get the idea. So right here, you have circle. Now when it presses circle, it activates this NOT gate here, which goes as AND gate, creates a feedback loop. So if I temporarily just add that there, assuming that that's on, that's what it does. It looks like it's going really slowly, but it's actually going really slowly, which typically it doesn't do that. Typically when you see something like that, it goes like that. But it must be lag or something like that. So what that does here, right, is you're not pressing circle. So what's going to happen is this is going to, when you hold down circle, when you press it, it stops this from doing anything, right? And the reason being is because when you press circle, you're blinking. And we're going to go into it later on how that resets this. But as of right now, what this does is it just stops this from continuing. It keeps on a constant loop. So when you do that, that won't continue. And please don't mind whatever's going on up there. Now, what this is, and then this here also just kind of stops from continuing as well. It's like a double, it's making sure, like definitely this does not do anything. So now what this is this is what starts your blinking meter, which is down here. So when that timer hits 0, that goes down by 1 bar. And I don't know, I'll cover this as well because this is also part of the blinking mechanic. Technically it's the gauge logic. I'm not sure how in depth you guys want me to go, so I'll just do the entire thing. It shouldn't be too long though. So this is definitely a bit more complicated. So what we have here, this is just like the bar, and that's just the blink word. That's not that's necessary, I guess, but it's not important in that sense. So what we have is a blinking logic. And right here is just each and every single individual bar, and they're just kind of sequentially. So as it goes up, it goes that one's that one's full, that one's full, that's one's 2, 3, 4, 5. So it creates like a sequence. The reason I do it like this is because I want to keep the values where selector does that one's on, and that one's on, and that one's on, and the rest of them go back. Basically, you would see what you would see if I did that was you'd see that one's off, then no, pause. Then that one's back on, that one's off, and that one's back on, that one's off. So it wouldn't do what you want it to. You want it to subtract all of it, and you want it to stay subtracted until it resets, and that's what this is for. So now what this does is these two nodes here are right there. So this timer goes into this OR gate, and this OR gate was supposed to have something else at one point, but it's been a while since I've added on to this, so I'm not sure what I'd do there. So if I really wanted to, I could do that and delete it. So what this does is this timer goes into this node here, again, to make sure that microchip doesn't get too large. As you can see, there's already a little bit more there than I prefer, but it's still neat. So then this node here goes to all of the plus ones. So it makes all these go up 1. That's why you see these ones increase a little bit there as well. And again, that makes it really easy to have it go up because it goes up 1 at a time at that point. Now, what happens is once it gets all the way up, let's just put this one here at 18. It's going to go up, and that timer, as you saw there, went up and back down again. So that means it's a positional. And what it does is when it's on, it's going to go up, and once that timer starts, or once it finishes, once it's on, right, once its output is good, it's going to go here, and it's going to reset all of these, and thus reset, you know, basically everything. So now once it's reset, and you'll notice there's another wire here as well, and that's going to go into this. So that's it. Now we're going to go into this microchip here, which is the actual blinking. Now that wire you saw going into there that also activates that node is this wire right here. And what this is hold circle. So remember how I mentioned that hold circle is the only one that does it like that? Well, that's why. So with this, the second you press circle, that activates and it resets that. And not only does it reset this, right? Now, let's say you press circle really fast, right? You would basically not blink at all, but it would say you did, and you'd have an unfair disadvantage to whatever needs to move during your blink. So, in order to prevent this, what I did was, I went to right here. So we have press circle as well, and so that's, again, a special case, because press circle is also right there. So, it does the exact same thing that you'd expect, only for some reason, I did this weird, not weird, it's pretty, you can do this. It's a timer and a counter put together, which does basically the same thing as this does, only in it's like, it has a bit more options to how you want the output to go. But for all intents and purposes, it does the same thing. So what happens is when you press circle, it activates this counter. And what this counter does is it activates this timer here, again, has a lot more capabilities, right, than just doing regular timer to reset itself. So then this timer resets its counter after 0.5 seconds. Now what happens with this is during this 0.5 seconds your eyes are closed. And so then that leaves a bit of room for some other stuff, like this timer here. So this timer is 0.4 seconds. And what this does is this does a thing called blink block, which this is mainly for 173 and for this specific gameplay. But what I did here was basically it sends a signal saying that it can move, but it stops just shy of this one, meaning that whatever's moving will stop just before you open your eyes. This accounts for any delay because typically what I've noticed is that if you send a signal right after the timer's finished saying stop, right? As soon as the timer finishes stop, what's going to happen is the object that you're telling to stop is going to move ever so slightly longer and then stop. It's a small delay. So to fix this, you want to have it stop preemptively, just by a smidge. And that typically works like a charm. So there's that, and now we're on to this. So with the hold circle, right, you have two inputs going into here, right? You have on from the timer and on from the hold circle. This is because you want to have both hold circle, start, and also this. You want them both to do the same thing. So hold circle keeps on constantly, while press circle does that, right? And so it works both ways. And this will restart no matter how long you hold circle. So afterwards, it's just this one doing it. And the second you open your eyes again, you're good. So now we've done that, right? And that's basically all you do here. I'll go into a bit detail on this one. Is I did dissolve, and I did 0.1, 0.1, and wipe them out. I did 100%, which kind of like stops it from fading. And it's like on off, light day. So there's that. So what we did cover right now is we covered everything here except this NOT gate. My DualShock battery is low, so it should last. Okay. So now what's this NOT gate, right? Well, what this NOT gate does, let's kind of bring it over here a little bit and open up this here. So basically this is what controls the graphics, because I'm gonna let it go down. I mean, what? That was weird. Did I like, hold on, let me look at that again. Oh, that's because I activated, I know what I did there. Hold on a moment. Did I do what I think I did? Because I activated something here. I think I may have forgotten to, oh, that's because I forgot to lower that back down. Yeah, that's why I was doing that. I was wondering. So what this does here is you have these bars here, right? Specifically this bar. And when it goes down, right, you still have blink there, right? This stops it from showing up. So, in fact, actually, I should probably be putting these in there to make those disappear as well. So basically what happens is, when this counter's on, right, when, you cannot see, it stops this, I guess the graphics display, it stops the meter from being visible. And I realized I should probably add that in there as well so it stays invisible. So there we go. And with that, you have a working blinking mechanic. So all the necessary parts are here. First, you have the button that senses that you want to blink, right? Whether it be circle, square, R1, L2, right? And then you add in this input, this here, just make sure that that does not continue, because you don't want it to continue. You don't want the meter going down while you're blinking, because when you stop blinking, the meter will already be like, say, halfway down. You don't want that. So you have that, right? So you have what's stopping the meter, and then you have the actual meter itself, which is the graphical representation. It doesn't hold too much logic-wise to it. In fact, before I added this, I just had a 20-second timer that would reset itself every 20 seconds and activate this chip here. So it's not too necessary, the graphics, but it can be used to a degree to help with the logic as well. So then you have that. You have the graphical interface itself, what this stuff corresponds to. Over in this microchip here, you have all the sensors saying, well, is it pressing circle? Is he holding circle, right? If he's holding circle, keep this on always. If he's pressing circle, activate the counter, have it reset itself, have this reset itself slightly faster to make sure whatever's moving stops before you open your eyes. Have this here, so that way when they are blinking, all that graphical interface turns off so you don't see it. And then you just have this here, which is a slight delay. That's just to make sure that it kind of resets itself. It's not too necessary. It's just kind of like a safeguard, I guess. And that's it. So closing that, you're done. Now, of course, there are other components, right? Like, for example, with Site 173, now that the blinking mechanic has been established with that transmitter blink block, you can now use it in other places to sense, well, if he's blinking, then activate all this. 173 is visible, which means he cannot move, right? But basically, that's all you need to know about it. That was the blinking mechanic, and I'm sorry this video is a little longer than I wanted it to be. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and this is the first addition to, I'm not sure what I'm going to call it, SCP tutorial, something like that? I don't know, logic, dreams tutorials, I think. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is from now on, I'm going to try before I upload a major video, everything that I didn't cover in that video in the previous, past, I'm going to upload a short video describing how those mechanics work first before I show what it does. So that way there's no confusion and everyone is on the same page. Because that's my mistake too, so I don't remember the name of the guy who posted it. I'll see it once I check his comment again. But it's not. I'm not saying you did anything bad. I'm saying this was my fault because I made it really convoluted and really hard to tell. Well, what video did he talk about that in? Where did he talk about when in the video? Did he talk about it? There's so many 30-minute long videos on my channel. Don't even know anymore. So this was an in-depth, comprehensive tutorial on blinking, or at least how I do it. So without dragging it on anymore, hope you guys. I kicked it again. What did I kick? I don't know. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.